You're welcome back to our session 10. Today we are going to look at reporting questions. Reporting questions. Did you know that even questions can also be reported? Take a look. We are going to see how we can report questions someone has posed. How we can report them. For example, I may ask you, why are you here? You go and ask you tell your parent, or you go and tell someone what I have asked you. So when you are telling that person, you are reporting directly what I have told you. Why are you here? So when we are reporting questions today, I want us to look at two categories of questions. We have two categories of questions. The first category we are going to look at is the questions that begin with auxiliaries. In other words, to give auxiliaries, we can call them helping verbs. So these helping verbs begin questions also. You can list them. We have is, was, were, will, did, shall, and many others. So we shall list them as we shall be looking at them in our questions. So these questions begin with auxiliaries, or what we have called the helping verbs. We shall look at how they change. Like as I told you, a reported speech has three parts. Being a reported question, it also needs to have three parts. Our own words that we shall use to ask, the speaker's words, those words that are quoted, that are put in the quotation marks, and then we shall have the joining, what you can call the conjunction. So for this time, when we are reporting questions, I want you to take a keen look. We have a different conjunction. For the statements, we only used that, where we said, Peter said that, Kato said that. But for this time, the conjunction changes. According to the reporting questions here, these questions which begin with auxiliaries, these questions that begin with auxiliaries, or you have called the helping verbs, they will have a conjunction which is different from that one we have been using. For this time, we shall use either whether. We can use whether. Then, if we don't use whether, we can also use if. We can also use if. So these two conjunctions can work when we are reporting our questions that begin with auxiliaries, or those questions that begin with helping verbs. Take a look at the example 1. Did you go for a debate? This question begins with an auxiliary did. Did you go for a debate? It's a question, remember. I'm trying to inquire from you. Did you go for a debate? Who has asked that question? The debate teacher. The debate teacher asked. Did you go for a debate? The debate teacher asked. So this teacher wanted to know. In other words, we can say that debate teacher wanted to know. When we are reporting, we can use the words like, wanted to know. We can use words like inquired. We can use words like asked, because all those ones mean the same. When I ask you, it means I want to know. When I ask you, I am inquiring. So those three words can be used. The teacher wanted to know. The teacher asked. The teacher inquired. So in this case, look at the joining words. forget about that this time. We are looking at questions where we are going to join with whether or if. So, number one example, did you go for a debate? Asked the debate teacher. This would change to the debate teacher asked them. Remember, them comes from you. Pronouns change in verbs. That means the tense, then change in adverbs of time. Don't forget that. However, here we are going to change the joining word, but the other ones must keep clinging in your mind. Change in adverbs, change in tense, and change in pronouns. So here you will change to them. So the debate teacher asked them whether they had gone for the debate. The debate teacher asked them whether they had gone for a debate. The debate teacher asked them whether they had gone for a debate. Whether, if you don't want to use whether here, you can use if and say that the teacher asked them if they had gone for a debate. The debate teacher asked them if they had gone for a debate. Take a look at example number 2. Alex asked, is the chairperson around today? Is the chairperson around today? This question still begins with an auxiliary, which is. So remember, our joining word is whether. If you don't use whether, you can use if. So for this case, we are saying Alex asked if the chairperson was around that day. Remember, that day comes from today. Change in adverbs of time. Today changes to that day. Don't forget about that. Example number 3. Has the secretary noted down the points? Has the secretary noted down the points? Has begins our sentence, our question. Therefore, has will change to had. Remember, in the perfect tense, we said the present perfect changes to the past perfect. So that is the tense. Has the secretary noted down the points? Asked Juma. When we are changing it to reported speech, we shall say Juma asked whether, or you can even use if. You say Juma asked if. But for me, I have said Juma asked whether the secretary had. Had comes from which word? Has. So Juma asked whether the secretary had noted down the points. Juma asked whether the secretary had noted down the points. So, my dear boys and girls, I hope with these changes you have seen in these 3 examples, you can be able to change these questions down to reported speech. So, I beg, take time. Look at each and every sentence. Identify where the major changes are using your pencil. Write out correct responses in reported speech. I thank you very much for being good listeners and good class. Thank you very much.